horizontal scalability and has very high uptime requirements, Cloud Spanner is your option. Now, from a programming experience or a developer experience, I still use SQL to access Cloud Spanner. So the programming experience is similar to the Cloud SQL database engines, but the infrastructure is different, right? So Cloud Spanner, if we look at when we create a Spanner instance, so this is just in the console. First thing is that we can have either a regional configuration or a multi-regional configuration, right? So I can actually have a Spanner configuration present in multiple regions, right? And again, I can actually have it present in 3 continents, North America, Europe, and Asia one, if I go for the top configuration. The other interesting thing about Spanner is it supports horizontal scalability, right? So basically, horizontal scalability allows me to allocate multiple nodes to a Spanner instance, right? So that way I can increase the throughput on my database, right? No, Cloud Spanner is not serverless because you actually provision the number of nodes that you want, but it is a managed service like Cloud SQL, right? The other main difference with Spanner is that there is no kind of on-prem equivalent of Spanner, right? So with Cloud SQL, you probably recognize those database engines like Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres, and MySQL. So one of the use cases for Cloud SQL is migrating on-prem applications because it's a pretty much direct migration. But Spanner was invented by Google. It was kind of born on the internet, so to speak. That basically originally Google developed Spanner to support their globally scalable products like YouTube, Drive, and so on, and then later made it available for people who want a very high-end relational database. They made it available as a product in Google Cloud, right? So if you have very high performance requirements, very high availability requirements, but you still want a managed relational database, Spanner is a good choice for you, right? Because again, I can deploy it into multiple regions, and for very high-end applications that need very high availability and have globally distributed, geographically distributed data management, Spanner is a really good choice. Right? And again, it's often been used in multiplayer games because those games often have digital arenas all around the world. So often there's a requirement for the database to support multi-regions, and not too many databases support multiple regions. That's quite unique to Spanner. And so as we saw, when we create the instance, we can either have a regional or a multi-regional configuration. And we can also, but we still have the benefit that from a programming point of view, we're still using SQL to update and retrieve data on a Spanner database. So the programming experience is not too different, which means the learning curve is short for developers, right? So this is kind of a comparison of Spanner versus Cloud SQL. The things that I would point out is the very high availability of Spanner, 5 nines, which is extraordinary. I mean, Cloud SQL is pretty good, 3.5 nines, but 5 nines on Spanner. Now, notice that the size of a Spanner database is 4 terabyte per node, but basically I can have many nodes, right? So when I create a configuration, I could actually have, I could have 100 nodes if I wanted, right? So as I kind of increase my nodes, and again, let's just say, choose whatever. But you'll see that as I increase the number of nodes here, so you see at the moment my capacity is 4 gig, but if I made that, say, 100, it would be 400 terabyte, right? So basically, that is what is meant by the horizontal scalability that Spanner supports, right? So that, again, is quite distinctive in Spanner. So again, it's a good choice when I need a very high-end, highly available, highly performant, managed relational database service. Okay, so no, Cloud Spanner is a relational database. Yes. Yeah, and it's not serverless because, again, I need to provision nodes, right? BigQuery is serverless, and we'll see later on our next lesson when we look at data store. It's we have some serverless databases, but not Spanner. Okay, so we'll hopefully you can join the class tomorrow. So tomorrow will be lesson 8, of course, and we'll talk about the NoSQL databases tomorrow, things like Bigtable and Firestore and so forth. So hope you can